Hello, welcome to this new video, and in this video we are going to do a packet tracer activity, and in this activity we are going to configure a radius server, and we are also going to configure what it is a TACACS server, which we configure in the video before this one. So in this video we are also going to learn how to configure a radius server like I told you on the video before. So let's go ahead and open this packet tracer activity, which I'm going to leave you a link in the description below of this video. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And I also have a lot more of this, a lot more activities like this one, which are really fun to do when you are trying to go for your ICND2 or your ICND1. Okay, so let's start by reading or by taking a look at the address table. This is the address table, so you can go back and forward, taking a look to make sure that you are configuring to the right IP address of either the TACACS server or the radius server. And remember that the TACACS server uses TCP and, and it encrypts the entire packet, and the radius server uses UDP and it only encrypts the password. Okay, so what are the objectives of this packet tracer activity? We are going to configure a local user account on router 1 and configure authenticate on the console, and also on the VTY, which is the telnet sessions, right? So, and we are going to do that using AAA. Verify the local AAA authentication from router 1, configure the server, then configure this other server base, configure another server base using radius, verify server-based AAA authentication from the PC clients. Okay, so the background scenario for this topology is that the network shows router 1, 2, and 3. Currently, all um, administrative security is based on knowledge of the enable secret password. Okay, so the only way to access these routers are using the enable secret password. And your task is to configure and test the local and server-based AAA solutions. Okay, so we're still going to do a local configuration because that's kind of like a backup just in case the one of the servers, like the TACACS service, goes down and you cannot use in any of those, let's say any of those accounts, right? You want to use the local as a backup. So we are going to create a user account, blah blah blah, and let me see what's the password for router one. It's Cisco ENPA55. Okay, so let's just start by doing the first part. Um, Configure local AAA authentication for console access on router 1. And first of all, let's test connectivity. So we want to PCA to ping PCB. So which one is PCB? We can go right here and grab this IP address. And let's see PCA, if PCA is able to ping PCB. Ping. Let's wait a second for the ARP to kick in. And also, we always get that timeout, always the first timeout because of the ARP, correct? And now, what's the next step that they want us to do? They want A to ping PCC, and PCC should be this one right here. Let's copy it. PCA, ping again. Let's ping PCC. And of course, again, like I said, we're going to get one timeout and followed by 3 replies because of the ARP request. Okay, that's good. And now what's the next one? We have to ping. I think it's C to I went too far. Ping B to C. So we have to from PCC we have to, or from PCB we have to ping PCC. So from B to C. Desktop ping, just to make sure that our network is working. And here it is. Our network is working correctly. That's good. So now what's the next step? Let's take a look. Configure a local username on router 1. Let's go ahead and do that on router 1. To do that, we have to enable, and there's going to be a password, and the password is Cisco ENPA55, and there it is. So we are in there, and what was that that I was supposed to be doing? Um, Configure username and password, or admin, and the password admin1 and password admin1 PA55. So let's go ahead and create that. Config terminal username admin1 and password. The password was, I copy it, admin1 PA55. So that's good. Let's see what's next. Okay, step number 2, configure a local AAA authentication for console access on router 1. Okay, so enable AAA on router 1 and configure AAA authentication for the console login to use the local database. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. First of all, let's configure a new model. To that, we're going to do authentication. Okay, and what we are going to use is, let's see, what are we going to use it for? So configure triple authentication for the console login to use the local database. Okay, so we are only going to use the local database. So let's go ahead and for enable for logins, and we are going to use a default for that, and we are going to use the local username for authentication, which is this one right here. Okay, local. Let's see what else. Okay, and then we have to use it for the console login. So we're gonna have to tell that line console to use this authentication. Okay, so that's set up, and now let's do line console 0, and the login that we want them to use is the authentication that we have, which is um, and we have to just call it the default. Okay, that's good. What else is next is configure the line console to use the defined authentication method, which we already did that one, right? Enable AAA, we did that with the AAA new model. On router 1 and configure AAA authentication for the console login to use the default method list. So we are ahead of the game. We already did all that, right? Now verify that the user login is using the local database. Okay, so what we have to do is, since it is going to use a local database, we have to log in with that, or supposed to be admin1. So let's go ahead and change that again. Exit, username, admin1, password is admin1 PA55. Let's end it and let's exit to try to test that, to make sure that it is using admin1 and the password is admin1 PA55. And here it is using that local database, right? And for this one, it's admin ENPA55 or admin ENPA55. I think it was admin. Let me verify that. Admin. Oh, I'm sorry, not admin, it's Cisco ENPA55. Cisco ENPA55. Here it is. Okay, so that is good. It should be, we are already done with part 1, which is configure local AAA authentication for the console access on router 1. So we are done with that part. So now we are going to go back here to router. So the part 2 is we are going to configure router 1 still. So what we have to do is configure a domain and a crypto key using this. So let's go ahead and create that domain, and let me copy this. Okay, so configure, and we have to do an IP domain name. We're going to set it to this, correct? So now we are going to do a crypto. generate is a crypto generate or crypto key generate RSA, and it's going to be 1024. Okay, that's good. Here it is. It is enabled via SS. We created that SSH key. What's next now? Configure named list, and we're going to name this. Okay, so we are going to configure name list and call it SSH login to authenticate logins using local AAA. Right, so we actually going to, I guess, modify it. So logo AAA authenticate or authentication, and after that we have to log in, and we are going to use a word for that. Paste it there, and we are going to authenticate. If I can recall, it's using the local. That's what they said. Let me verify that. Authenticate logins using the local. Yep. So we are going to SSH login using the local database, and I believe we're not gonna need a backup for that. Yep, here it is. So there's no backup. So we're just going to keep using that local. And now what we have to do, I believe, is configure the VTY lines. Okay, so configure the VTY lines to use the name AAA method and only allow SSH for remote access. So we're going to go to that line, VTY 0/4, login, and for login here, we have to put login authenticate, and we're not going to use the default anymore. We have to use that SSH login because that's what we call it. Correct? Paste it over here, and that is good. And now we have to also is it transport input and just call it to only use SSH to allow remoting only on SSH and not telnet because telnet is clear text. So that is done. Now we have to verify the AAA authentication method is working, right? So we have to, from PCA, we have to remote in via SSH. And if I remember, let me see, so it's admin. Let me copy that admin, and the password is admin PA55. So let's go ahead from PC1 and SSH into router 1 into SSH. From here is SSH minus L, and then what we got to put here is admin, which is the username, and now we have to get that this right, we have to get that interface IP address for that interface, and let's go to the table. Router 1 IP address, I believe is this one right here, and yes it is. Let's copy that one and go to PC1, okay, and paste it right here. And after that, it's going to ask for the password, and the password I believe is admin1PA55. Let me go back again to make sure, because I don't remember any of the passwords. Set up to admin1PA55. Okay, so admin1PA55. And there it is. We were able to connect to the router using SSH. So that's good. We verified that that is working. So part 2 is completed. We were able to verify that it is working. So now what we have to do is on router 2. So now we are going to move to router 2, and we are going to configure TACACS plus, which we did on the video before. So let's configure first a backup local database entry call admin. Okay, so for backup purposes, configure local username of admin2 and secret password of admin2PA55. So let's go ahead and go to router 2 and do that. So enable. So the password for this is Cisco ENPA55. Cisco ENPA55. Okay, got it. And now let's config T. Let's create that username, and admin2, and the secret password for that is admin 2PA55. Okay, so I believe we are done with that. Okay, so we created that backup local database. And now verify the TACACS server configuration. So we have to take a look at TACACS and make sure that we have the correct information so we can connect to the um, TACACS. So we can connect to TACACS, correct? So let's configure TACACS, server specifics on router 2, configure TACACS. So this is the way that we're going to connect to TACACS, right? So let's copy that. Okay, so let's paste that here, TACACS server host. And the host, let's make sure that this is the IP address of that host. Okay, let's go right here, services, AAA, and from right here, we can take a look at the IP address of that. It should be in here, and here it is. That's the correct IP address. And now we have to make sure that we are using the correct IP or the key, which is TACACS PA55 to connect to it. And to configure that here, we have to call a key, I believe. Yep, that's correct. And let's paste that key so we can connect to that server. Okay, that's done. The next one is, okay, we did that in just one line. Now configure AAA login authentication for the console access on router 2. So enable AAA on router 2 and configure all logins to authenticate using AAA TACACS Plus server. If it's not available, then use the local database. Okay, so that's going to be the backup. It's going to be the data, the local database. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, we have to create a new model. And now AAA authenticate or authentication, and we are going to set it for all logins. So we have to call login, and I believe we're not going to name anything because we are going to use the default. So the default, now we have to call that group, and who's part of the group? TACACS Plus. And for the backup purposes, so if TACACS is not working, I want to log in using my local database, and there it is. Okay, so let's go back to the activity, and we are going to, let's see, so we are here. Now we are going to configure the line console to use the define triple authentication method. Okay, and let's go ahead and do that. So line console 0, I wanted to use login authentication default, right? So we are going to use the login from AAA, or from AAA, not triple E. I'm sorry for that. And now verify the AAA authentication method. So we have to exit out and make sure that we are able to log in with that username and password that TACACS is giving us. So N and then exit. And now, as you can see right here, it's asking for username and password, and I believe that is admin2, and the password is admin2 PA55. Admin2, and the password is admin2 PA55. And it's not taking it. Let's go back to the TACACS server to make sure that we have, so admin2 also, I'm sorry for that. So this has to be a capital A, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's go ahead and try to go in again. Admin2, admin2 PA55. And here it is. Now we are able to log in, and for this one is Cisco ENPA55. Good. So now we see that router 2 is working correctly. Let's go back to our activity, and now we are moving up, right? We are going to configure AAA authentication using a radius, right? We haven't done this before, so you are going to see how to configure a radius server. So configure a backup database first. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did with router 2 and router 3. So let's configure that username and that password for a local username. Let's go to router 3, make this bigger, enable Cisco ENPA55 config T, username admin 3, secret admin 3, PA55. That's good. Let's see what's next. And we're going to click on the radio server to make sure that the configuration is correctly. And I believe it is correctly, so you can just click on it, making sure that everything is good. It has an IP address of that, so that's good. Let's see the services AAA. Make sure that you're using radius. So radius PA55, the key for that. So we want to go ahead and copy that secret password so we can connect to it from router 3, and let's see what our activity says after that. So we have to connect to the radius server like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect it. Let's go ahead and paste that there, and then let's put key after that, and let's paste that key that the server is giving us, which is this one. Copy and paste. And there it is. Now we are connected to that radius server that uses UDP and it only encrypts the password. Okay, so we did all that. Now we have to configure AAA login authentication for console access on router 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and do all that. And we are going to use the default authentication for that. So let's go ahead and do a AAA new model AAA authentication, and we are going to use a login and leave it to the default. The group is not going to be TACACS but radius, right? And radius, and for the backup that we want to use, either radius server goes down, I want to use the local username or the local database. So that's good. And now we have to go to the line console 0, right? And we are going to use a login authentication, and for this one we are just going to use the default. Okay, and let's see what we have next. We configure console for login. Now we have to verify by exiting. We have to exit out of this to make sure that the console is asking for username and password correctly. And let's take a look at that. Exit again. Oh, exit one more time, and here it is. Now it's asking for a username, and then I believe that's admin. I don't know if he has a capital, but let's take a look on here. Okay, yeah, capital admin 3 and PA55. So admin 3 for the username and admin 3 PA55. Okay, so it's just taking a little bit. So what I want to do, here you go, it let us in, and then enable it, and then the password for this is Cisco ENPA55. Okay, that's good. And I want you to see that I'm not making this up, that the radius server is actually working. Let's create a username asker and password asker as well, and let's add it, right? So now let's go back to router 3, and you're going to see that I'm going to be able to log in with that new username asker and password was asker as well, right? And now here's Cisco, oh, enable, and then Cisco ENPA55. And there it is. As you can see, I was able to log in with that other username that I just created on the radius server. And the same goes for TACACS. Let's create a new username and let's log in with that username, right? Asker, and then right here, Asker. And we should be able to log in from router 2 with that. So let's exit out of here. And let's username Asker, password asker. And there it is. I was able to log into that too. Okay, Cisco ENPA 55. Right. So as you can see, everything is working, but I believe I made a mistake. And let's take a look. Since we think that we are done, when you are done with the activity, you can go ahead and check the results. And it is incomplete because I believe I put password on router 1 instead of enable secret. Yeah. So let's take a look. Hmm. Yeah, I think it was the opposite. So I have to put on that usernames, I have to put enable password instead of enable secret. Okay, let's take a look at that. So let's close out of here because it's incomplete. And let's see show run to see how I configure router 2. And I did admin, yep, enable secret. So I have to do admin 2 enable password. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Config terminal username admin. Let's see that if it is, make sure that it is not in capital or anything like that. Not here. Activity. So let's see if I can find it. Okay, so I believe it's only the username that I had to put in capital. So admin2 needs to be in capital, I believe. So username admin2 and password admin2 PA55. And let's see what the activity says now. Let's say check results. I'm done. Okay, let's see. And let's see what we get. It is incomplete and still says username and username here. Hmm, that is really weird. So what I want you guys to do is to go ahead and take a look at what I did wrong. Okay, so go ahead and see what I did wrong. See if you guys can complete it because this video got a little bit too long, right? So since it got too long, I want you guys to try to complete this activity and let me know what I did wrong or what I missed. So thank you for watching, guys, and have a nice day. Bye bye.